Okay, I think we are live. Let me check. Hello, hello, I think we're live. Let me just check in the Facebook group and make sure you can see us. I am so excited for this conversation. Yes, we are live. Okay, so if you are here with us, say hello. I have the most amazing guests, and I was just telling them that the energy is so strong. The energy of today's conversation is so strong that I had to actually go in and we grounded our energy so that we didn't, fly away, because it's that powerful. So I'm super excited for this conversation. To be honest, I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, but I know it's going to go exactly where it needs to be. If you are new to the Facebook group, welcome, welcome. So excited that you're here. If you believe that your friends and family would benefit from this conversation today, go ahead and share this link out. So grateful for that. And before we begin, I always start by saying, this is tough times for all of us on a global level, and we are not dismissing the suffering that's happening, right? People are sick, people are dying, people are in the hospital. We have not been able to connect physically with our parents or our friends or our family that we don't live with. So we're not dismissing that, right? We're not here to brush over that or make light of that. We know what's happening. We're with you, right? But these conversations are really about, what it is that we're wanting to create, what kind of amazing opportunities that are happening right now on a global level that we now have the opportunity to restructure, reform, renew those things that are no longer serving us or no longer working for us. So that's what this conversation is all about. I'm so blessed and grateful to have some of the world's best coaches join this panel, and they are here for you if you'd like to connect with them after the live. You're welcome to do so. There is a guest sheet with their emails and their websites, etc., that you can connect with them. If you are a coach and you want to play with me, I think I'm the most fun person, the most fun coach to play with me, because you never know what's going to happen when you connect with me. And that's the beautiful thing about these conversations we are having. So just reach out to me. You can private message me or email me at susan@coachesontherise.com if you'd like to be a guest on these live panels, or you just want to be part of my community. I have a community just for coaches. Definitely reach out and I'd love to connect. So, all right, so now all that housekeeping kind of stuff is out of the way. Let me introduce you. If you've been part of the community for a while, you already know the incredible Nori Love. Nori Love is a healing artist. And what does that mean? It means that she takes all of her wisdom and knowledge and experience, and she just combines it all together to support and serve her clients at the very highest level. So, hi, Nori.
Hey, Suze. Thank you.
So, Nori, do you just want to explain the magic of you?
Explain the magic of me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so multifaceted. I bring a lifetime of my personal study and the things that I was drawn to. into one package, where I work with people regarding body, mind, spirit, and soul. To increase well-being in their body, in their well-being. Um, so I do that from a nursing perspective. I'm an RN. Of course, I graduated from QSCA as a life coach, and also I'm a Reiki master. So I'm a hypnotherapist. So I bring those modalities, bits and pieces of those modalities, into like a mosaic that I've created, and that's my practice. That's my offering. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And she's also a personal trainer, just saying. But yeah, we could to really talk about the experience that Nori has, we could take up this whole hour. So I do encourage everyone to connect with Nori and her community. You will receive so much from doing so. And I want to just say hello to Nasrin Barbic. And Nasrin and I have had the opportunity to play together a while ago, but it's been a while. And she is such a beautiful gift in this world. And I'm so honored and grateful for her to be here. So Nasrin, do you want to just explain the magic of you?
Well, thank you. First of all, Suzanne, it is fun to play with you, and I have been missing that. So thank you for inviting me here. And I have a similar background to Nori a little bit in that I'm a coach, hypnotherapist, and Reiki master. And I blend all these three modalities to work together to connect individual to their higher self. What I share is my own experience, my own awakening, and my own path. And my hope is that my transformation and my experience can help somebody else to have a awakening to their own greatness and see their own power.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm so honored and grateful that you said yes to my invitation. So I'm super excited that you're here. And I want to also introduce Kara Barrie. And Kara, when I first connected with Kara, her aura was just bright as the sun. And so I was drawn to her immediately. So I'm so grateful to have her here. She is a channeler and a healer, and I'm just going to let her explain the magic of her, because she is also multifaceted. So explain the magic that is you, my darling.
Thank you so much, Susan. Yeah, so I also did the QSCA, and I became a law of attraction coach. I'm also a Ho'oponopono practitioner, and I am qualified in a number of holistic therapies such as EMDR, kinetic shift, and auricular acupuncture. So I'm so blessed to have experience in a number of areas. I'm also a coach, and I love to coach people who are kind of in the beginning stages of their awakening, and I like to be what I call a spiritual handholder for those people, to guide them with love, and allow them to achieve a sense of who they truly are as a spiritual being. And I'm also a channeler. I channel vocally, and I'm very blessed to be able to channel a collective consciousness that's known to myself as Eli. And like I say, I'm so blessed to do this work, and any opportunity I get to channel, I love to. And my passion and my aim with my channeling is to really allow people to connect to their higher selves, and for them to really see and own and express themselves as a spiritual sovereign being. So that's what I'm all about.
That's so beautiful. And that's what these conversations are all about, right? Connecting to your own wisdom, connecting to your own knowledge and your own guidance. And thank you for saying yes to playing with me today. I want to just say hi to Sue Lee and Michael and everyone that is joining. If you are not in the Facebook group, I've been hearing that you're not going to be able to comment on the video. So if you want to be able to comment, absolutely join the Facebook group. I'll be checking periodically. I'll let you into the conversation. That way you can connect to us one-on-one. And if you have questions or you want to share your view, absolutely, that's what we're here for. So, okay, so last week, I want to start with last week's conversation because it was so powerful. And we talked about what does it mean to be awake and how do you know if you are awake, right? So this is, you know, I guess most psychics, most astrologists, most of the well-known earthbound guides would say that this is a time of great awakening. And even though we here on the panel have had our awakening, we understand the complexity and the confusion and all of, you know, and the wonder and the awe and the excitement, all of it. Like when you are awakening to who you are in truth, which is spirit, right? You are whole, perfect, and complete. And when you are awakening to your own truth, so many emotions, so many questions, so much confusion can come up. And so that's why these conversations are so important, because even though right now, if you're sucked into the denseness of what's happening in the world, right? It's hard not to get sucked in because you see people are dying, you see people are hospitalized, you see things are not normal. We're all wearing masks and we're keeping 6 feet away from each other. So, you know, that's what we see with our eyes. That's what we see out there. But there's so much more. There's so much beauty. There's so much opportunity. The God, source, goddess, Buddha, whoever you call it, took the earth, right, out of love and shook it up and turned it upside down and opened up this whole new space, this whole new space of slowing down, this whole new space of giving you the opportunity to really go within yourself and reevaluate those things that you thought were important to you, and those things, like maybe you're on a track of a job that it doesn't fill your soul, right? Maybe you're in a relationship and you know your communication isn't that great right now. So now you're in the space of slowing down and really having the ability to examine what it is that you really, really want. And then with guidance, have the courage to take that step, to make that shift, to make that change. And so I want to start there. So, okay, people, what do you think of that? I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments as well. I would love to hear what my guests have to say on that.
Okay. This is a great conversation. So I want to start with exploring what it means to be human being, right? We have humanness and we have beingness. Humanness is our physical and it is our thoughts. And if we are only connected to that, to our humanness, we let our outer world affect us because we become our thoughts. And our thoughts are nothing but our conditionings, our literally archived of past experiences, and we constantly react to what's happening. But when we connect to our beingness, which is formless, limitless, all-knowing, that fear dissipates, right? Because we realize we are more than our physical. Not only that, the first step to a spiritual awakening is this identification with our thoughts, right? So that takes us to a whole different level of not really getting involved in such a way that our outer world literally controls our inner world. So when we stand in our being, meaning aligned with our higher self, then we have that inner peace that no matter what's happening out there, we still stay connected to who we truly are. And that helps us deal with that. There is a trust and faith in the unknown and what we're going through right now. And that's the place that I think if we start from there and disconnect from our humanness a little bit and connect more to our beingness, it can guide us through experiencing what is happening in a different way, right? What happens out there is out of our control, but how we act towards it, not react, it can make a difference.
This is such a good space to start, right? Because as an awakened being, when this all happened, you know, I've been connected spiritually for a very long time now. But when this all happened, I felt like I was straddling both worlds. The humanness that I'm like, oh my God, the world shut down, right? Like you can't get toilet paper, you can't go out, you can't connect with the people that you love. And then in this larger knowingness of all is well, right? So you're right, we in truth, we are unlimited. In truth, we're limitless, beautiful, powerful, all-knowing, amazing beings of light and love. And it's the humanness, right? We chose to have this experience of being human, which is delicious and scary and confusing and exciting. You know, it's all those emotions rolled up in one. And so I love that you started there, Nasrin, because it really is right now. I think most of us are in the in-between. Who wants to take that?
Can you explain what do you mean in the in-between?
Like going from the fear to the peace, going back and forth from the fear to the peace, right? Because you can't help but, you know, see what's happening. You know, you can't. This is the most major event that we've had in the history of history, right? In our lifetime. And so it's hard to ignore the human side of things, meaning, you know, you can't see your friends, you can't see your family, you have to wear a mask. You know, Steve and I went for a drive and I didn't think about bringing my mask, and then we wanted to stop somewhere and you can't, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean by the in-between. Like, but in truth, I know all is well and this is all happening for us and it's beautiful and amazing and exciting. So it's kind, you know what I mean? Like straddling both worlds.
Yes.
It was easy to be.
I have something to say about that. Well, that's why we have our practices. That's why this is a process and it's a practice, right? To have a routine to keep taking us back to our own alignment that can help us, right? So what you're explaining is going back between awakening and sleeping, back and forth, right? And it's a practice that help us to spend more time awakened than asleep. And realization and awareness is the second step, right? We become aware, oh, I am again below my thoughts. My thoughts are controlling me instead of I being in control of my thoughts. And my emotion is emotion of anxiety and fear. And that's the state of being asleep, right? And how can I help myself, right? With, it could be as simple as a positive thoughts, changing my focus instead of watching the news that is all about bad news, right? Think about the practices and how I can show up for myself and others.
But it's I guess it's not like a sleep, but it's just this awareness. Like, I know all is well, but yet I'm wearing a mask to protect others. When I know in truth, they don't really need protecting, right? So I would love to get Nori's take on this. So Nori, what's coming up for you?
It's, what everybody has to do what they're comfortable with, because there's no rule book, nobody's done this before this way. So you have to do what you feel comfortable with, because that's where you're in better alignment with your higher self and all that is. And that's where you continue to make good decisions from. So if you don't want to wear a mask, okay, then yeah, if you feel good about it, don't. If you feel good about it, then wear it. The important thing is for us to always be focusing on staying in the higher energies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
First within ourselves, then everybody else.
Yes, so that's where we're at, and I would love to hear what everybody is thinking about this, because because in truth you are whole, perfect, and complete. There's nothing broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. Okay, and so when you allow yourself to get sucked in to the denseness of what it is that you're seeing, you are releasing that part of you that knows all is well. So right now, it's so much more important to go within, to connect to that larger part of you that knows, that you are everything, that you are unlimited, and all is well, all is well. Kara, what's coming up for you, my darling?
Yeah, what's coming up for me, Susan, is I'm just thinking about, when you're talking about having one foot in your humanness and then the other foot within your higher self, really, within your awareness of all that is. And what's coming through for me is the idea of, okay, so trying to be more aware and getting more present with it. And instead of coming from a place in your humanness of fear about what's going on in the world right now, ask yourself, what is this moment here to teach me? What is the gift that I can get from this situation right here and right now? What's the silver lining here? I'm looking for the rainbows. What rainbows can I find in my life right now? And to turn it around, to pivot it, and to really find the blessings. So that's what was really coming up for me, was to find the gift in it, and to find the gift in our humanness, and the fact that this time right here, right now, is just another opportunity for us to express ourselves as a spiritual being. That's all it is. That's exactly why it's here.
So what's coming up right now for me is, you know what, even when, like, even, you know, in the beginning of all of this, even when I was like, ooh, this is kind of scary, you know, and then I'm like, oh, this is kind of good. But in all of it, I'm still whole, perfect, and complete. Whether I am focusing on the denseness or I'm focusing on the gifts, right? I'm still that spirit. I'm still whole, perfect, and complete. It's not like I can separate myself from my own truth, right? So it's just is a matter of where you're going to put your focus, where you're going to put your energy, because all of that craziness, all of that stuff that seems scary, that's going to happen whether you're focusing it or not, right? So I want to just read some of the comments because they're fabulous. So, okay, so I want to just welcome to Betty and Greg Ann. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize. I want to also Michael Long and Linda Dillman and all sorts of awesome people. Okay, so Michael is saying, if we are only focused on what's happening now, that is negative, and that is all we are creating in the future. This is perfect. Move fear, but if we choose to focus on the positive changes, then we adapt naturally to what's becoming, and all remains well. I love, love, love that, right? So I always talk about getting stuck in the mud. If you're waist high in a mud pit, if you focus on the fact that you're in a mud pit, you'll never find your way out, right? So all this stuff, all the coronavirus is going to do its thing, regardless of whether you pay attention to it or not. And so it's in your choice of what to focus on, right? It's in your choice. Like, no matter what you're seeing out there, it's your choice of what to believe. If you believe the world is crumbling and everyone is going to die, well, then that's what's real. But if you believe that all is well and all of this is happening for you, then that's your truth. And more evidence of that, more beauty, more gifts, more awesomeness will show up in your world. And so that's the power of you, right? Let's talk about that. That's your power. That's who you are in truth. So oh, I love this. Okay. Thank you, Michael, for inspiring me. So Suli joined us too. Awesome, awesome. And so who wants to expand on that, right? Who wants to expand on that? And then I want to talk about afterwards, I want to get into, okay, so if we're limitless and we're all powerful and we're all knowing, what does that mean? But let's wrap this portion of the program up.
So for me, the way I choose to look at things is getting away from this is good or bad and just staying isness of it. And the reason being, again, part of a spiritual awakening is to get away from your thoughts patterns. And the moment I say this is good, I am creating a thought pattern that is familiar. It makes things okay. It makes me comfortable, right? Doesn't mean it's truth. The moment I label it as bad, then again, I'm going to the different direction, which is again created by my thought pattern. But if I stay in the isness, this is what it is, right? And I don't get so much involved in, is it good? Is it bad? Is it happening for my good? Is it happening in a bad way? Then I can stay aligned and see it as it is rather than making up a story around what's going on.
I love that. Yes, because it's all good, right? It's all good. And I'm going to leave that at that. Who else wants to take that? I have a lot to say about that, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. So Kara or Nori?
Yeah, I'd like to just pick up on what Nasrin said, because what's coming up for me is just that idea of surrendering. You know, there's so much soothing in the idea of just surrendering to it. You know, it feels so good, you know, to just think, okay, I can just surrender in this moment and just allow the perfect unfolding, you know, rather than trying to control, because when we try to control, we create that resistance, and we don't want that, we don't need that. So the idea of surrendering, yeah, I love that, and being more in flow. And certainly for me as a channeler, what's been coming through in my messages about what's going on currently in the world, you know, and why it's happening, what was coming up was really this idea of man's need for control, to control everything, and the fact that most of us do not live in that flow state, that we do not live in the flow of the universe. We don't surrender to it. We don't allow it. You know, we're trying to control it and dominate it so much. And that's what's been really coming through as a strong theme for me when I've been channeling. So it ties in perfectly with what Michael said and what Nasrin's saying right now. So yeah, just the idea of surrendering, doesn't it just feel lovely, that idea?
It was right to release the need for it to show up in a certain way, right? And this is where trust comes through, because when we're busy, all of us here on this panel, I know have had have had things happen where we're so determined to make something happen. And when it doesn't happen, we're so upset about it. You know, that's just part of being human. Regardless of how awake you are, you still have those human moments where you're like, oh, I want this to go right, or I want this to happen this way. But it's when you release it, because the universe, God, source, is saying, hey, we have this amazing thing over here. And if you only let go, right? If you just let go of it, it's going to be awesome.
And it's also a degree of faith, you know, faith in knowing that everything that you desire really is downstream. So instead of rowing against the flow, right, exhausting ourselves, we just let go, trusting that what's best for us is waiting.
Right, and it's not about trusting the government or trusting me or trusting you or trusting. It's about trusting yourself. It's about trusting that higher part of you that knows the truth, right? That knows the way, that has the plan, that knows why you wanted to play in this earth in the first place. And when you signed up to play in this earth in the first place, you knew it was going to be messy and confusing, and you were going to fall on your face, and you were going to have confusion and strife and all of that. But your higher perspective, your higher part of you is celebrating every single moment. And I'm going to use Nasrin's way of saying in the isness of it all, because even though we are labeling this is good and this is bad, it all just is, and it's all good, right? So perfectly put, all of you. Now, so how do we stay connected to that part of us? Because I always joke, right? Like when I became awake, when I had my awakening, when the veil was lifted and I could see the truth of everything, that I went to sleep and then I woke up smarter, right? So how we talk a lot about tapping in, right? We talk a lot about that we already know all the answers, that higher part of us already knows the answers. So so how do we stay, because, okay, I want to just say this first, is that as spirit, as whole, perfect and complete being, connected to all there is, to everything, we signed up for this ride we call Earth, right? We got on this roller coaster. We knew we would forget the truth of who we are. We knew we would feel pain. We knew we would feel joy. We knew we would be confused, and that we would be kind of bumbling around trying to find our way. So I kind of lost my train of thought, but we are still, how do you connect to that part of you, even though we want to still have the experience, even though it's painful and messy and confusing? That's what we signed up for, right? So as spirit, so how do you find the balance of staying in flow of what is going to happen? So how do you let go, I guess? How, as human beings, do you let go and allow your higher self to guide, right? To show you the way. And I just had this vision of letting go of the oars, and you just kind of going in the direction that you want to go, right? So how do you do that? And I would love to hear from everybody.
It's a choice. You have to think about it, and you have to notice when you're wanting to get back into alignment, because something will happen to get your attention, and you'll go, "Oh, I'm out of alignment. And that felt bad," or whatever. And after that, whatever you do, to bring yourself back inward, whatever your practice is, But I have like a little routine. I believe it, and I know, and I feel, and then I'm back in flow. But when the human part of me is focused on something that's sensational and horrible and scary, and I shouldn't be looking at it, but I'm looking at it, that's when I need it the most. Instead of continuing to give energy to looking at that other stuff, that's when I need to pull myself from it and go, wow, you got to do your thing right here. Yeah. It's challenging right now. I mean, it's probably always going to be challenging, but that's part of the fun.
Right, because even as we awakened, even though we had our awakening, so we know all is well, we know all is good, right? It all is for our higher purpose. Why do you think it is that we don't just like cut the cord to that human part of us that can go into fear, can go into judgment, can go into, lack? Because we already know the truth, but how do we always get sucked into that illusion of humanness?
I think in some ways, even though that sounds negative and being sucked in, there's always a lesson, or there's always clarity that you then gain from, a deeper understanding, a deeper clarity, a deeper realization that you gain from when you do dip down into those lower emotions, and they can actually be a real blessing. I know from my own experience when I've gone down a road and I thought, and I was convinced it was right for me, and then it turned out it wasn't, but in actual fact, it actually really was the right path, because I learned so much on the way. So I think it's we have to have that duality, don't we? Because that's what it's all about here. To come for these lessons and these experiences. Does that resonate with you guys?
Yeah.
That so resonates with me, right? Because that's what we signed up for. I feel like the first half of our life is all about forgetting our truth, but then our second half is all about remembering our truth, right? So it's like unbecoming all that was, so that you can become all that is truth. right?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, just going back to what Nori said, what really helped me in becoming more awake and becoming more aware was really analyzing my self-talk, and then coming in each moment with every thought and asking myself, is this thought that I'm having about myself or others or about a situation, is it based in fear or is it based in love? And it really allows you to get very specific and get very clear on, you know, where you're at with your alignment, and then you have a choice. You absolutely have a choice. We all have free will, and we can make that choice to move in the direction that we want to be in, you know, so that we have higher alignment and we have that higher connection. The truth is we're always connected, whether we're feeling like we are or we're not, whether we're, you know, high in the sky with feelings of joy or we're way down in the pits of depression. We're always connected, but it's just, it's like you said, it's we cut ourselves off when we're in those lower emotions, but we always have a choice. And you know, it's great to have that duality, but yeah, we absolutely have the choice. We can choose to raise our vibration and attract more abundance to our lives, and a happier, healthier life, really.
I love that. And so when I was a child, up until I was in 9th grade, so 14, I think, I was like a medical intuitive. I knew when people were going to die. I knew when people were sick. It's just this thing, but I didn't have anybody to guide me or talk to me about it. There was a lot of dysfunction in my family, but there were things that I knew. I was so connected to my own truth that I knew, like, I just knew things a lot. Like, I just knew things a lot. And then, but I chose to disconnect. I had a person that was in my grade, and we ended up sitting in the same seat on the bus together. And she was telling me, all of a sudden, she started telling me how she had these bruises that wouldn't go away. And I told her, I said, I think you have leukemia. You should go to the doctor. And she told her mother, and her mother listened, and she went to the doctors, and she did have leukemia. And she had leukemia, and she lived for like a year, and then she passed. But I felt responsible. Like, I was a child that didn't have anybody to talk to about, wow, I don't understand how I know these things, and it's scary, right? So I intentionally cut off. I said, I don't want to know anymore. I don't want to know anymore, right? And I'm bringing this up because I was still connected, even though with intention, disconnected. It didn't mean that I wasn't my truth anymore, but the conversation was one way. Now, fast forward, when I was bedridden, I opened up that communication, so it's two ways. And so I guess I'm guided to go here. It's like, we do have choice. Like, I know it's confusing where people are like, we don't know everything, but you really do have access to all knowledge, all wisdom when you tune in. But it's so much easier when you open that communication so that it's two ways. But you have choice of how much you want to know. And that's the lesson that I learned when I was 14. Like, when I said enough, I don't want to know anymore, they didn't show me anymore, right? So you are in control. You have free will regardless, right? So So maybe you're getting the guidance. Maybe you're getting the guidance from your guides, your angels, and those loved ones that have passed, but you're not having that communication both ways. So what a difference when you have that communication and go both ways, right? But know that you're always in control. Love to hear what people think about that. But first, I want to just read something Michael said. Michael's very chatty today. Thank you. Thank you. So Michael's saying we can use our awareness and our words to create real positive changes in any area of our lives. Words evoke our feelings, which drive our actions. And he also said, I allow my conscious mind to move out of the way by going into the alpha state, the relaxed state, right? That state when you're first awakened in the morning, which is the doorway to discovery and choice. Once there, I use positive affirmations to install new positive beliefs. I trust and let go. Hand over the instructions to the universal manager and have faith in knowing all is well. All is well. So go.
Well, he said it very well. I have to say, is we can unpack that, but it comes to first the awareness, right, that we have a choice, and that requires us to stay present, be here now, and not to judge, not judge ourselves or others, or even not to judge what's happening, and just fully be there. And fully being there will allow us to connect to what you were saying, Suzanne, to our higher self, to be able to hear that whisper, right? And get to this state. For me personally, I know, like, how Abraham Hicks said, you can never get it done, right? We are still evolving. The universe is evolving. The universe is expanding still, right? And we as human beings are still in the process of evolving. And now is the conscious evolution that we're going through, maybe. But part of it is that I know personally, my catalyst for awakening was the challenges in my life. The dark night of soul triggered something in me and helped me to get to a different state. And now I feel as a collective, we are going through a challenge, big challenge, and we're all going through it. It doesn't matter what race you are, female, male, rich, poor. This is the challenge that we're all going through. And that may be a catalyst for our evolution, right? I do believe life gives us what we need, even though it might not seem like it. So the question I ask myself, what life has given us COVID? How can we see that as something that can help us grow to the next level?
Yeah, right. Yes, yes. So it's all choice. It's all choice. And so that's perfectly said, because the way you said we were given COVID, like, it is a gift, right? It is this time, and it is sexless, it's raceless, it's ageless, it's all of it, right? It does not discriminate. We are all in it. There's not one human being on the planet that is not affected by what is happening through this COVID-19 pandemic. But the choice of how to look at it. You can either see it as a gift or you can see it as a curse. The choice, I think the theme of today is the choice is yours.
Yeah.
You have choice in every single moment, even when you're connecting to that divine part of you. If you're not receiving the answers, it's because on some level, you don't want to know, right? You don't want to know the answers. So it's like opening up, right? This is a time of great opening. And we all here in the panel see the COVID-19 pandemic as a gift, as this beautiful, amazing, fabulous gift. And we choose that perspective. We choose to see the gifts and the blessings in this challenge, right? And so you also have a choice of how you view this. If you view something as hard, man, it's going to be hard. If you view it as something that's going to be easy and it's perspective is everything. Nori, I want to get your take on this because I know you have to step out in about 10 minutes. So you've been listening. What do you got?
I've heard so many things. Bring me into focus on what you'd like to do.
That's what I think I want you to do. Bring us into focus out of everything that you learn, because you are the master of taking this and this and just kind of wrapping it up in this beautiful thing.
Well, I think that we looked at the blessing of, as Nasrin said, being in the beingness, pulling ourselves back into the now. There's such a blessing to that, because if we're not there, we're going to be looking at other stuff, and that other stuff is probably not going to feel great, right? And then how do we get into alignment, right? That place of beingness, or whatever you call it. I call it alignment. That too is a choice, and it's when we're not really aware that we're really so uncomfortable that we really need to make the choice then. We need to allow that discomfort to say, hey, there's another decision you can make that could feel good. So then we can choose to feel better. We can choose thoughts that always feel better and move us in the direction of feeling better, because that's when we're in alignment. You feel good.
When we choose alignment, right? When we just kind of let go and allow things to unfold, how does that affect our physicalness, right? How does that affect our mind, body, and spirit when we stop resisting and we just allow?
Right, so that's the optimal state, right? That's the state of homeostasis, if you will. It's the perfect state for us to be in, where we are in the field where everything that our body can do and heal can get done in that energy. In that energy is where we heal and we create, and yeah.
So everything is possible.
Yeah.
Right? Is it possible to totally transform the way this world is?
From our perspective, yeah. Maybe not the world's perspective, yeah.
So I want to now talk about energy, that we're energetic beings. Aside from being, spirit, whole, perfect, complete, we are energetic beings. So just through intention, just through thought, things can shift, things can change, things can transform. Like there are no limits when you go forward with intention, right? So for example, when I was healing, when I was following the doctor's advice and doing everything that they said that I needed to do to heal, I was so focused on doing the steps, what they said, but understanding, studying, and then understanding that I'm energetic and that I have the ability to heal myself I don't need to do those things the doctors were telling me to do. I didn't need the 22 pills and a pain patch to get out of pain, right? So through intention and just saying thank you for the healing, focusing on being healthy, focusing on wellness, putting all my focus in that way, it was like, not only was I off of the pills within 30 days, that I was, out and about in 4 months. So we are energetic beings, and through intention, right? So we're all in this COVID-19. When we look beyond the pandemic and we start getting back to, this new way of showing up in the world, you can shift it through intention because you are energetic, right? So what are some things that are possible through intention? I feel like I'm given a quiz.
Feels like a quiz.
I'm sorry. Right?
Everything is possible.
It's all possible, right? So what happens when we collectively together with the same intention? So, right, so we're all in this together. But what if, like, 1/3 of the world just did a meditation with the intention to release those things that are no longer serving us, right? What would happen? What would show up in the world? And this is just your perspective, your imagination. Like, this is not a quiz, I promise. It's not a quiz, right? But there's no right or wrong answer in these things that I'm asking, right? But I'm curious of what you guys think. I'm curious of what those who are viewing, what do you think? Because I was reminded recently of the power of, like, they sent, 100 monks into a city and they just did a meditation for peace, and crime dropped and pollution dropped and anger dropped, So what's possible now as a global family? Like, what if we all, right? If we all, and let's say 20% of the world says, okay, what if we all with intention just put love and peace into the world? How would that transform it?
Suzanne, I want to, when you ask the question, can we change the world? That I don't know, but I do know each individual can change their own experience of the world. And that's what it matters, right? And as Nora was talking about, remind me of, and I somehow have it in front of me. I was reading a book, the author is Viktor Frank.
Yes, Viktor Frank.
Yes,
Franco.
The Meaning of Life. And what he said, which totally, exactly what Nori was saying in a sense, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedom, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one own way, right? So as an individual, we can take responsibility, because when one person change her perspective and one person awaken, we all are connected. We have the illusion of separation. But in quantum field of consciousness, it affects all of us, right? So the way I approach it always, and I see it one person at a time, and the responsibility starts with me, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you were saying, we are energetic beings, and we can transform, not only we can transform ourselves by staying connected to the positive energy, we can also just being in that state without even saying something, change the state of somebody else by being in our own being and align with that energy. So would it having us all get together and meditate would have a bigger effect? Absolutely.
Right? Because we're all part of the one consciousness,
Right.
right? So the way my guides show me this so that I can put it into perspective, it's like every single one of us here on the planet are all in this one room, right? This one consciousness. And so the energy that you project while connected to all there is, it changes the whole energy of the room, right?
Absolutely.
So if there's several people on this side that are in an argument, right? And then there's people on this side with love in their heart and blessings in their heart. It's kind of, they come together and they cancel each other out, right? So we're all putting energy into the room. We're all putting our focus into the room. So I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I've witnessed this over and over where, you know, the whole world is focused on something, and then that something perpetuates itself, right? And it affects everything in the world. So as conscious, energetic beings, being mindful of the kind of energy you're putting into the room, right?
Absolutely.
Is going to, so if we're all in love and we're all in joy, those things that are not in alignment with that must fall away.
Mm-hmm. You know, that reminds me of, you know, which is actually in 2 points. One, when I was going through my challenges in life, right? And at the very beginning, of course, I was blaming everything that everybody and everything outside of myself. It was my husband to blame for my unhappiness and everything in around me, not me, right? And then when I had that, and at that point, literally, like my husband was the cause of my pain.
Yeah.
But when I went through transformation, I was thankful. Is the same way that I feel right now, that those challenges, he became a catalyst for my transformation, right? And then when I was going through that transformation, I was just amazed that how I was doing all the work, energy work, and aligning myself, and he was changing around me. So exactly, is that what you were saying? I was witnessing that. And I remember telling my friend, I just don't understand. I'm the one who's doing all the work, but it seems like everybody around me is also growing with me and changing with me.
Yeah. Isn't that true? And those that are, I had people in my life just kind of fall away because they could no longer be in my energy because we were too far apart. Does that make sense? So I always tell people, it's like people complain about Facebook and everything. I have the most loving, amazing, you know, I have 1,500 plus people on my personal page, but I never see people arguing. I never see people being nasty. I never, except for when I promoted this event, it was just weird. It was like, but it stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm like, oh, delete, I don't want that. But I saw the same thing, and my boyfriend, he completely shifted like how he views the world when I stopped trying to make him see my way, or believe me, or my point of view. And I just did me. I just completely did me, right? So, and then he shifted as a result. So that's what's possible. So as we're awakening into this new world, it just starts with you choosing the kind of energy you want to put into the room, right? And something that I don't know why it's important, but they keep bringing it into my consciousness. So, you know, I talk to my clients about, you know, when you're showing up to that wedding, even though you can't stand the groom, right? Or you're going to an event, but you don't want to go. It's like you're taking that energy that you're feeling about it, and you're bringing that to the party. So you're stinking up their party, their celebration, by showing up. Even though you're smiling and saying all of the right things, you are energetic. And so we bring that energy in every, you know, when you lend money or you do something for somebody, but your heart is not really in it, you're putting that energy with that gift. So that's not really a gift.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest thing I learned about how much we are energetic beings, and everything we do has that energetic footprint, right? So what kind of energy do you want to bring to the party? And if it's not pure, is it better for you to just stay home and do those things that you truly want to do? And so isn't that beautiful?
It is, and that sort of remind me of what Kara said. She's a Ho'oponopono practitioner, so am I, and that's the whole idea behind it. That what you see out there is a reflection of who you are, what you feel inside. And if something you see you don't like, you do your own clearance. It has nothing to do with anything out there and or anybody out there, and you just clear yourself. And the way you do it is actually very simple and very powerful. You just repeat, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And it's so powerful that if you continually doing this, every time you get triggered by anything, instead of looking outside of yourself, go within. And you don't even have to go, why am I feeling like that? What is it within me that causes me experience this? None of that. That doesn't matter. Just go within and repeat to yourself, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And that energetically clears you out, and you will not have that trigger or experience.
I love that. And I've read stories of how just by maintaining and tending to your own energy, your own thoughts, your own emotions, it can shift the world. So as we are awakening into a new world, and I just want to read a comment. Michael is saying we are totally unlimited as to what we can achieve. We are unlimited as to how we can be. We are unlimited energy and motion. Beautiful. And so he's also saying the only thing we control is our own words and thoughts, right? No one can, and that's what Viktor Frankl was talking about in his book, right? Regardless of what was happening, he had total control over his thoughts. Nobody could take his thoughts away, right? And so to choose the thoughts that you want. There was a man that was just released from, he was released from prison after spending 39 years in prison for a crime he never did. He was put in prison as a teenager, and DNA found him free. And he said this. He said, somebody said, how did you survive all those years in prison? He said, I never went to prison in my mind. I never went to prison in my mind, right? So that's the power of who we are. So his experience of being in prison was a positive experience because that's what he chose. Does that make sense?
I gotta go, but thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It was so wonderful.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll play again soon.
Okay,
I love
thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nori. It was great
Bye.
seeing you.
Bye. So the power of what we have control, because right now, right, I'm just going to bring this back to the pandemic, and then we're going to be there, because the gift in what is happening is the rule book, as Nori mentioned right in the beginning. There's no rule book right now, right? We're in uncharted waters. the school systems in uncharted waters, the politicians are in uncharted, parents, moms, teachers, doctors, lawyers, we're all in uncharted territory, right? So all bets are off. So in all of these things, we've had to shift the way we do things, which means that they're in flux. So anything can be reshaped and reformed and remodeled. Thoughts?
Yeah, Susan, I think, yeah, it all comes back to your own perspective on things, really, doesn't it? And I think it's really it can be a difficult concept to get your head around, but if I could give anyone a gift out there that's watching right now, it's to really put across to them just how powerful they are as energetic beings, and that we really have the power to weave and move the energy and direct it. Look at yourself as the conductor of an orchestra, and you get to be that conductor. You get to direct the energy. You can flow the energy. You can play with the energy. You can have fun with the energy. That's why we're here. It's why we're here, and it's incredible because we get to create the life that we want, and in playing with the energy, we can shift our perspective completely. We can look for the gratitude in things. We can find gifts in all corners, in all walks of life, if we just look with those eyes, with pure love, and set that intention. Set that intention that you're going to shift your perspective, and set that intention that you're going to come from love. Set that intention that you're going to come more from your heart, and practice dropping into your heart and coming less from your mind. We are so capable of this. It's just that we've never really been taught about it. A lot of us, I certainly wasn't growing up, and it's like you said, Susan, we spend the first part of our life kind of unaware of really who we truly are and how powerful we are, and then we kind of go through this phase of unbecoming everything that we've learned in the first half of our lives, and we get to go through this amazing kind of change and transformation, and it's exciting because you really get to be the author of your own story. You really get to create.
You are boundless. It's like we learn that we're boundless, and we can be, do, or have anything that we want. We can create all of it. Isn't that the beautiful thing? And isn't that, I think that's why I came here, to play in this earth, right? I didn't choose the easy road, but I knew that it's all about remembering who you really are, and the powerful, amazing, beautiful being that you really are, and that you do. Your energy, your words, your thoughts, they matter. They matter not only to you and to your family and to those you're connected with, they matter in the whole scheme of all of it, right? So as you're home and you're getting ready to go to sleep, right? And you're just reliving the thoughts of today, remember, what kind of thoughts do you want to put into the collective? What kind of energy do you want to put into your world? Because again, just like Kara said, everything is a reflection of who we are inside, right? So your thoughts, Nasrin?
Well, I think you ladies said it all. Beautiful, loved it. And all I'm going to add is, like, I want to encourage everybody to add practices that can help them through this journey, right?
Yeah.
Personally, having a gratitude journal has helped me focus on what is important, and what you focus on expand. You focus on the goods, you see good. It's like when you want to go and buy a new car, right? Say you want to buy a Honda, all of a sudden, all you see is a Honda. Why? Because your focus was on that, right? So change your focus. Focus on the good thing, right? What's good is happening at this moment. And that will help you shift your energy. The second one is simple meditation. Just 10 minutes in the morning will go a long way. Somebody told me they don't have time. My attitude is I don't have time not to do my meditation, because the days that I skip it is the day that I'm not productive, is the day I'm not aligned and not in a good place. So create a simple practice for yourself. Go for a nature walk and just pay attention to nature. I never forget one day I was walking not so long ago, and this is a practice. Like I have to keep bringing myself back to this. I was taking my little dog for a walk. Beautiful sunny day, but I wasn't noticing any of this. I was lost in my thought of what I need to do, what is coming. And all of a sudden I realized my body's tensing. So I brought myself back, took a couple of breaths. I look at my dog, was happily like being in it now, enjoying the sun, enjoying what's going on around him. And I realized the moment that we are bringing ourselves in and now, everything is perfect. In that moment, everything was perfect. But in my mind, there was a chaos going on, right?
Yeah.
The to-do list was going on. So I encourage everybody, have at least one or two practices that brings you back to now and how you can be grateful. But no matter what's going on around you, there's always something beautiful happening, and focus on that.
And my suggestion to everybody, and I think this is a good way to wrap up, is to actually, Kara, you go first. What would be your thing that you would suggest everybody do?
Well, Nasrin talked about it so beautifully earlier on, but for me, I really love and appreciate and use Ho'oponopono all the time. For me, it was something that I found in some of my darker days, and I was blown away by the way that it could transform me and my thoughts and my emotions. And I love the idea of being able to take 100% responsibility for my own self, my own energy, because it's really empowering, to know that it's in your hands and you can change it, So I love Ho'oponopono. It's my go-to. I use it all the time. I journal in moments when I'm in the lower emotions, when I'm feeling anger, when I'm feeling hurt, when I'm feeling sad, and I will just get it all out on paper. And it doesn't really matter what it looks like, it can be messy, it can be whatever. But I think there's something really transformative about, taking those words, those thoughts, those feelings that are in your mind and transporting them onto the page, and it creates a release, and it's a really productive release, because you're not going around putting your bad mood onto other people. You're being very responsible with your energy, and it's a great way to transform it all and kind of bring you back to your own self.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I teach this to my clients as well. It's like unprocessed emotions are the most dangerous, right? So when you put it out there, like I always say, write a letter to the person that hurt you or upset you, and just allow those emotions to flow in this letter. And you don't have to mail it, but if you just read it with all the passion that you're feeling about those emotions, that just releases you, and then it's out of you and out there, and then you have peace within. It really is very powerful. And I want to just remind everyone that and they're guiding me to tell just a very short story. It's to start that two-way conversation. You are not alone. You think you're alone, but you have access to your guides. You have access to your angels. You have access to the loved ones that have passed. My dad, it's the 3-year anniversary of his death a couple of days ago, and I just close my eyes and I can see him playing the guitar and singing the song that he wrote, right? It's like, have that two-way conversation. I used to work 50 minutes, like an hour, about an hour away. And this was after I had my awakening. So on the way, every Monday, I would do 50 minutes of gratitude, 50 minutes, not 5 minutes, 50 minutes of gratitude through the whole way. And so I learned to play with my guides, and Jesus is one of my main guides, not in a religious sense, but in a spiritual sense. He's my guide. He comforts me. He guides me. And so on the way, I'm like, Jesus, I know you're here. I know you're here, but I want a sign. I want a big sign. Tell me, show me that you're here. So I finally get to the office. I put my lunch in the fridge and everything. I get to my desk and I log in. My first phone call was from Jesus, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just laughed. I'm like, thank you, right? My very first phone call is from Jesus. So it was, they're right there. And if you ask them for a sign, if you ask them to show you that they're there, if you ask them a question and you want an answer, they will give it to you. But be careful of the questions you ask, because if you're like, why is the world crazy? They're going to show you why the world is crazy. So be mindful of those questions that you ask, but have that two-way conversation. Have that two-way conversation, because you have access to all the wisdom and knowledge that you will ever need to have a happy, joyful, successful life. You just have to start the conversation. So every morning I say, good morning, my guides and angels and Jesus Christ. Thank you for being with me today. And I give them permission to manipulate life on my behalf, right? So they always show up for me, and I'm just loving these conversations. So have two-way conversations, journal, write, when you're sad, get that out there. Do Ho'oponopono. I can never say it, Ho'oponopono, right? And gratitude is the most powerful force. Love and gratitude are the most powerful forces to change your life forever in the most positive, beautiful, wonderful ways. So it's all about just allowing the light in and just allowing the guidance, right? Yeah, beautiful. Because we can change this world any way we desire. It's just all choice. You have the power. And so Michael's saying we are all unique gifts. Yes, we are all unique gifts. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for all your words of wisdom. I would love my co-guests to read all of Michael's posts. He was so active through the whole thing. I so appreciate you, Michael. And I appreciate all of you in this community. I appreciate all my guests. If you want to play with me, definitely private message me. If you want to connect with these amazing guests, do so. You can just tag them in the group and they'll be sure to answer any questions you have. I encourage you to connect to them and be a part of their community, and because they have so much to offer as well. So much love and light to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to try to end this live, but it's never graceful. So if my guests will just hang tight with me, I will end this live and then we'll have a little chat. Okay. Ooh, how come I cannot do this? Hold on. It's never graceful with me when I try to exit. Okay, here we go. I think I might have it. All right. Ooh, no. See, I'm still trying to end people. This is me, graceful. Okay, I almost ended the whole meeting. Okay.